guys. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. First things first, if you hear like snoring or something in the background, my youngest brother is here, um, and he's over there sleeping, so that's that. With that being said, if this is your first time to the channel, hi. My name is Mary. I am the founder and CEO of Mary-ish Entertainment, and it is my joy and goal in life to spread grace and peace to everyone that I come in contact with. So, welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back to the chaos. So last week's video, last Thursday's video actually, I posted the story of my divorce, which was very emotional time. Um, and I've gotten so many questions and comments um, regarding that time of my life between the separation and the actual divorce. But the one question that I have been constantly asked, both by all of you beautiful, wonderful, amazing people, and those who know me personally, is what am I doing in this season of singleness? Or do I plan on getting married again? And I think I touched on that in the video and in videos prior. I know I touched on it in the podcast, but I figure I answered the question here for you today, so there's no more confusion. Sorry, I had to grab my notes because it was actually one specific question that I wanted to jump in, that I wanted to touch on. And the young lady, she asked me to give my thoughts on a life of singleness. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So let's jump into today's video. Okay, so again, yes, I am divorced. Yes, it happened a lot differently than what I thought, but we are here, and I know everything happens for a reason. With that being said, me personally, I say this in every video, I can only speak for me. So for me, again, for me, being married was more than like a trend for me. I always knew that I was going to be somebody's wife. I know that I am somebody's wife, but at this point in my life, I am not looking for anybody. I am completely focused on getting myself together. And again, I've made TikTok videos about it. I've gone on social media, people's social media lives and talked about it. This is not a secret to anybody. um, but I wanted to touch on this particular person's question, and I'll put the question right here. I wanted to touch on that question specifically because I remember a time in my life, I believe it was back in like 2014, if I'm not mistaken, where I was so obsessed with the idea of meeting my future husband. So much so, like there's a book that's floating around by Robin Jones Gunn and Trisha Goyer, Praying for Your Future Husband, Preparing Your Heart for His. And I read that book. I studied that. Now, admittedly, when I looked into that book, I looked into it as a skeptic because I'm like, how are you going to give somebody a step by step of how to pray for their future husband? Like, that's not. But then when I read it, I was like, oh, that's not what this book is at all. So if you are, and I definitely have to read that book again. So if you are looking or you're praying for your future husband, you're praying for your future spouse, period, I definitely recommend that book. And I also recommend The Power of a Praying Wife by Stormy Oregon. Those two books were pivotal for me when it came to me praying for my future husband back. But I wanted to say this. There is a reason for this Jesus, Mary, learn how to speak. This season of singleness that you find yourself in. And I think it is very important um, for us as a population, and specifically, I want to talk to the young women who are like me, 28, 29, 30, like you're reaching that age where it's like all of your friends are getting married, all your friends are having children, and you're like, God, this isn't fair. I'm trying to do it the right way. And it's just not working out for me. Like, what's going on? Your life should not be wrapped up in it. Your life should be yours and God's. In this season of singleness, and I'm going to touch on a couple of things. Believe me, when I tell you I have studied this, um, I've studied this extensively, and I want to give you some of the notes that I've taken over the years just to help you and to encourage you. Let me go grab those. Okay, I got all my notes here, so let's go through them. All right, here we go. So again, I was doing this back in 2014. This is a year before I met uh, my ex-husband, and so I literally spent a good 2, 3 years praying for this person that I had never met. Um, Again, I've made some TikTok videos about it. I haven't posted some, but for your entertainment and for your, if you guys want, I will make a whole little clip about it. Okay. So a couple of the things that like I was talking about back in 2014 when I was really, really delving into this um, ser- sing- single season, because when I tell you I was done with it, and in 2014 I was about, I don't know, I'm 28 now. 2014 seems like so long ago. I couldn't have been more than like 17, 18 years old, right? No, I was a little older than that. I don't know. Y'all do the math, right? So I was so concerned with, because I knew, again, I knew I was somebody's wife. You could not convince me otherwise. I knew I was somebody's wife, right? Um, so I delved deep into this, and these are a couple of things that I picked up then that are still relevant now that I am going through another season of singleness. Okay. Um, Back then, I don't remember what person I was speaking to that gave me this information. I'm so sorry. If I could, if I could find this young person and thank him, I would. But he gave essentially the three S's of the single season. And I'm literally going to read what he wrote, and then we could just delve into this. Um, he said, God is in the business of protecting his children and leading us into a place of greatest joy. This means he knows what you need and when you need it. There is intent and a reason behind this period in your life. Again, he is referring to this season of singleness. Three reasons. I know which as I fall into now. The question is going to be which one pertains to you. And I think one of the biggest things that we have to do in this season is be honest with ourselves. Be honest with ourselves about why you are going through this season. Okay, one, the first S he gives is sin. He says maybe there's a sin that needs to be dealt with, and he's preventing you from inviting someone else into your mess. Two sinners can't fix each other's problems. God uses marriage and relationships for our sanctification. He also uses singleness to spare us pain, consequence, and to keep us from pulling others down. This is calls for gratitude and gratefulness, not anger and bitterness. He is protecting all of his children because he loves them. Now, when I read this, I was like, people are single because they're sinning. Then I was like, oh my gosh, people want what they call their kingdom spouse, and not realizing that now I could say this. First of all, marriage is a lot of work. And if you are two people who are on a path to serve God, your marriage has to serve God as well. Um, my ex husband, he was not into the ministry like that, whereas ministry was my entire life. So we clashed on that. And I was like, yeah. Marriage is all about serving each other and serving God and preserving the sanctity of that union, right? So the second S he he gave, and this S was the reason for my singleness back then. The second S he gives was to serve. He said, God, or they said, excuse me, they said, God may need you to serve in such a way right now where all of your energy, time, and attention needs to be devoted to what He's calling you into. God allows singleness because this life is not about you, but about His kingdom and His purposes being accomplished. This is cause for thankfulness and joy that our Father would invite us into His work and want us to be a part of what He's doing. That for me was my reason for singleness up until I met my husband the following year. Um, I was I was always that church girl. Like I've always been. I've said it in several videos. The ministry, the church, and spreading the gospel has always been my life. I'm a server. It's what I do. So in that season of singleness, while yes, I did crave to be with somebody, I knew that the person I was going to be with had to understand that my love language and how I serve God in this season of my life is to serve Him. All right, and let's just jump down into the third S in this person's reasons for God giving us singleness. The third S, which is my reason now, is slow. And again, they say perhaps God is just wants you to patiently wait and trust Him. Many of us say we want Jesus to be king, but if we're honest, it's only true as long as He runs things the way we would do it. Ain't that the truth? I'm going to stop right there for 1 second because let me tell you, this healing journey, most of the time, I'm going to say about 85% of the time, when in the beginning at least, in the beginning when God was making like these decisions for me, 85% of the time, I was with it. I was like, all right, God, you good, you got it. But that 15% of the time, I was like, I don't, I don't know if I like that. Man, whew, listen. And I know that there are always going to be people like, oh, well, I always trust God. Kudos to you. I am, yes, and yes, I have been in this for quite a while, but this new season of singleness has taught me that even in the beginning, I had some restraints on God, and I know I can't be alone, but let's continue. The second He veers from our plan, we fight to take the reins back. Again, truth. God knows more than you do. His plan is perfect, His timing flawless. The ultimate question is, do you desire God's will over your own will? Will you trust Him? This season might be time to slow down, stop resisting, and be thankful that God is making you into the man or woman that He needs you to be for His purpose, for His purposes, and for His glory. Yes, 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 and 1,000 times yes. And I say that this is my reason for singleness now because, again, I've been going through this journey of healing and learning me and jumping headfirst into this purpose that God has called me into. And where I am at right now, there is no room. There's no room for a person to be with me, and I know this. I'm okay with this. Um, Now that might not always be the case. For me personally, when I see young couples, especially when I see young couples who are on fire for God, I'm like, God, why can't that be me? But then He reminds me, like, hey, they went through some things to get to where they are. Are you willing to go through? Oh, God is good. Are you willing to go through what you got to get through to get what you want? And for me, what I want in this season is for God to be pleased. So, in this season of singleness, let me just encourage you. First of all, it's not going to last always. It is called a season of singleness for a reason. Trust God, believe God, and know that no matter what happens, He's going to give you the desires of your heart. And if no one has told you this today, I see you. I appreciate you. I am so very, very proud of the person you are, and I love every single one of you. Much grace and peace.